The concept of women's roles in early civilizations encompasses the diverse responsibilities and statuses that women held in ancient societies. These roles varied greatly depending on the cultural, social, and economic structures of each civilization. Generally, women in early civilizations were often involved in domestic duties, but their contributions extended far beyond household management. They played crucial roles in agriculture, trade, textile production, and even in religious and political spheres in some cultures. Understanding these roles is significant because it provides insight into the foundation of gender dynamics that have shaped societies throughout history and continue to influence contemporary gender issues. For instance, in ancient Egypt, women enjoyed relatively high status compared to their counterparts in other early civilizations. They could own property, initiate divorce, and even rule as pharaohs, as seen with figures like Hatshepsut and Cleopatra. Meanwhile, in ancient Mesopotamia, women were integral to the economic fabric of society, engaging in activities such as weaving and trading in marketplaces. These examples illustrate the varied and sometimes influential roles women played, challenging the often limited portrayal of women in historical narratives. Supportive opinions emphasize the indispensable contributions women made to their societies, arguing that their roles were critical to the economic and social development of early civilizations. These perspectives highlight the importance of reassessing historical narratives to recognize and appreciate women's contributions more fully. However, there are alternative viewpoints and controversies. Some scholars argue that despite these contributions, women were generally subordinate to men, restricted by patriarchal structures that limited their agency and autonomy. Such critiques suggest that while women held significant roles, their influence was often curtailed by societal norms and legal restrictions designed to maintain male dominance. This exploration of women's roles in early civilizations connects to other aspects of the main topic by highlighting the historical roots of gender roles and the evolution of women's status over time. It invites a re-examination of how modern gender roles have been influenced by these ancient precedents and challenges contemporary societies to learn from the past. By understanding the complexities of women's roles in early civilizations, we can better appreciate the strides made towards gender equality and identify areas where progress is still needed. In exploring the role of women in early civilizations, their economic contributions and labor roles offer a compelling lens through which we can understand their status and influence. This concept refers to the various ways women participated in and impacted the economy through both formal and informal labor. Women in ancient societies were often integral to agricultural production, domestic labor, and artisan crafts, contributing significantly to their community's economic stability and growth. The significance of this point lies in dismantling the misconception that women were passive bystanders in early civilizations. By examining their economic roles, we gain a more nuanced understanding of their societal influence and the complexities of their status. For instance, in ancient Egypt, women were engaged in textile production, a key industry that supported both local needs and long-distance trade. Egyptian women who managed looms and workshops not only contributed materially, but also engaged in economic exchanges that underscored their agency in public and domestic spheres. In Mesoamerican civilizations such as the Maya, women played crucial roles in agriculture by cultivating small gardens, which enhanced food security and contributed to the household economy. These examples demonstrate how women's labor was indispensable to the economic fabric of their societies. Supporters of women's economic contributions argue that recognizing these roles challenges patriarchal narratives and underscores women's capabilities and active participation in societal development. However, this perspective is not without challenges. Some scholars point out the difficulty in assessing women's labor contributions due to the historical undervaluation and underdocumentation of their work in both archaeological and written records. This can lead to a controversy regarding the extent of influence women actually wielded. Alternative viewpoints suggest that while women's participation in the economy was vital, their roles were often circumscribed by societal norms that limited their access to certain types of labor or economic power. Thus, while influential, their roles were also reflective of broader gender hierarchies and constraints. This aspect of economic contributions and labor roles connects to the broader topic by highlighting how women's economic activities were interwoven with their social, cultural, and political lives. Understanding their contributions allows us to see the intricate ways in which women shaped early civilizations, balancing their labor roles with familial and societal responsibilities. It influences our interpretation of their status, as economic agency often translated into varying degrees of social power and influence within their communities. Such insights prompt a re-evaluation of historical narratives, providing a richer, more inclusive understanding of early civilizations. The concept of women in governance and political influence encompasses the roles and impacts women had in political leadership and governance across early civilizations. This involves women actively participating in decision-making processes, holding formal power as queens or regents, or exercising influence through advisory roles. Their presence in governance challenges the often male-dominated narratives of history, highlighting the complexities of gender roles within different societies. The significance of this point is profound, as it not only underscores the capabilities and contributions of women in shaping early societies, but also illuminates the broader social dynamics and gender relations of the time. Understanding these roles helps dismantle the monolithic perception of patriarchal dominance, showing that women were integral to political and social structures in various civilizations. One notable example is Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs of ancient Egypt, who effectively ruled as king after assuming the throne in the 15th century BCE. Her reign was marked by economic prosperity and extensive building projects, demonstrating her ability to lead and influence the direction of the nation. Another example is the influence of women in the political landscape of the Iroquois Confederacy, where clan mothers held significant power, including the authority to select and depose leaders, thus playing a crucial role in governance and maintaining societal balance. Scholars and historians increasingly acknowledge the underappreciated roles women played in early political systems. Some argue that these examples should inspire modern societies to recognize women's potential in leadership without the constraints of traditional gender roles. However, there are challenges and controversies regarding the extent of women's political influence in history. Some historians argue that the examples of powerful women might be exceptions rather than evidence of a broader trend, suggesting that women's political roles were often limited and contingent on specific circumstances. Additionally, the patriarchal bias in historical records might obscure or diminish the contributions of women, leading to a skewed understanding of their true impact. This exploration of women's roles in governance connects to broader themes of women's status and influence in early civilizations by demonstrating their capacity to shape societal structures and policies. It challenges the historical narrative that frequently marginalizes women, encouraging a re-evaluation of how gender dynamics have evolved over time and providing lessons for contemporary gender equality discussions. Understanding these historical roles reinforces the idea that women's involvement in governance has deep roots, offering valuable insights into the potential for inclusive and diverse leadership today. In examining the religious and spiritual roles of women in early civilizations, it becomes evident that these roles were integral to societal structures and cultural dynamics. Women often served as priestesses, shamans, or oracles, positions that granted them significant influence within their communities. These roles afforded women unique opportunities to exercise authority, shape religious practices, and mediate between the human and divine realms. The importance of these roles lies in their ability to provide women with a degree of power and respect that was often otherwise inaccessible in male-dominated societies. Through religious and spiritual avenues, women could assert influence over their communities, sometimes even impacting political decisions. For example, in ancient Egypt, priestesses of Hathor and other deities played critical roles in temple activities and were respected for their spiritual authority. Similarly, the Vestal Virgins of ancient Rome were pivotal in maintaining the sacred fire of Vesta, a duty essential to Rome's spiritual security and stability. These positions not only empowered women, but also underscored their significance in maintaining cultural and religious continuity. Some scholars argue that the reverence for female deities in early civilizations, such as the worship of Isis in Egypt or Inanna in Sumer, reflects the high regard for women in spiritual contexts, indicating a societal acknowledgement of feminine power and influence. However, the spiritual roles of women were not without challenges and controversies. In many societies, women's participation in religious life was strictly regulated, with their influence often confined to specific domains. Critics argue that these roles, while seemingly empowering, were sometimes used to reinforce patriarchal structures by limiting women's authority to spiritual matters, keeping them out of political or economic spheres. Additionally, The expectation of celibacy or strict moral codes for priestesses in certain cultures sometimes served as a means of social control. The religious and spiritual roles of women also intersected with other facets of their status in early civilizations. They provided a platform for women to engage with societal leadership indirectly and contributed to the broader cultural attitudes towards gender roles. This intersectionality highlights the complex layers of women's influence, as spiritual authority could transcend mere ceremonial duties to affect governance, social norms, and even familial structures. In summary, the spiritual roles of women in early civilizations were both a source of empowerment and a reflection of broader societal dynamics. They navigated the delicate balance between influence and restriction, shaping not only religious practices but also the cultural landscapes of their times.